Hello, welcome to the self-learning podcast by Dr. Sushma Singh. Let us start discussion on Unit 15, Entrepreneurship and Capitalism. And our topic is contribution of Max Weber. Weber's idea on entrepreneurship and development of capitalism are contradictory with Marx. Weber's attack on Marx's view was that the capitalist, equipped by new techniques and driven by rational procurement, had always neglected the old traditional method and attitudes, and had imposed on society his own ethos and a specific mode of production. Weber never accepted this and said this was never a realistic situation for the process of capitalist development. Even same situation had occurred in Weber's lifespan, where a new man broke into a totality adopted traditional environment and mode of production was specially capitalist therein. Apparently here, Newman neither was equipped by a new invention nor was capable of revolutionizing industry. However, he had a new spirit. Weber afterward takes a turn by emphasizing to capitalist form of an organization with capital turnover, entrepreneurial business activity and rational bookkeeping. Nonetheless, it was also traditionalistic in every way. Apart from this, Weber throughout his academic career worked for the propagating philosophy of social sciences, economic history and political science. All these aspects can be observed in his idea about the entrepreneurship and development of capitalism. Weber's theoretical propagation of entrepreneurship is generally identified with the theory of charisma, which can be observed in Weber's analysis of exceptional type of human being or charismatic man, who by virtue of extraordinary personality influences others to follow him or her. Unfortunately, Weber's treatment of charisma was misunderstood by many scholars. In fact, Weber treats charisma as a significant agent of change of primitive phase of the society, and it has no relevance in modern capitalist society where economic changes occur due to the enterprises which generate opportunities to make profit in market situation. Rationalization of society begins with the replacement of myth and religion by science and methodism. However, charisma had a bit scope in development of capitalism in modern society. Weber's theory of entrepreneur and development of capitalism has two important aspects. As he says, entrepreneur can be found in economic system, and entrepreneur will have to do much more with the direction of economic action in a collective perspective. For example, enterprise which certainly is not an economic operation of an individual. At elementary stage of his work on entrepreneurship, Weber says entrepreneurship means the taking over the organization of some part of economy in which people's needs are satisfied through exchange for the sake of making profit and at one's own economic risk. His work, Protestant Ethic and Spirit of Capitalism, is significant to understand the theory of economic development from two aspects. First, it brings out the reality of change in attitudes towards entrepreneurship that had been generated due to the reformation of Western society. Either one would be hostile or alienated for accepting or promoting it actively, and it brings out the fact that a certain kind of religious ethos, namely Protestantism, contributed a favorable condition for the development of capitalism as well as work culture, which had given a scope for broader changes in the attitude of the society towards entrepreneurs. Prior to Reformation, there was no social acceptance for the money lending, trade, and commerce, as well as entrepreneurship. Religious sanctions did not allow to accept them, not only in Western but throughout the societies around the globe. These endeavors, in fact, were at the best tolerated but were never embraced. A certain form of Calvinism, as well as some sects of Christians during 16th and 17th centuries, step up a movement of reforms by reinterpreting religious ideology, which brought major changes in the ethos of business and industry, as well as having its impacts to the people who had accepted the modified ethics of religion in particular and society in general. At this point of reference, a positive condition for entrepreneurial work had emerged, which led the capitalistic development. Henceforth, religious constraints gradually began with a lasting luster and control over the society. In persuasion of the economic actor, religious grip had been weakening. Hence, such a social condition had emerged where entrepreneurship to generate capital had become independent variable. Here, Weber demonstrates changes in cultural values and beliefs as the key of the development of capitalism among various social groups with their own world views. In early work, Weber gives much stress on the entrepreneurship as the skillful direction of enterprises, which corresponds to opportunities in market situation for making profit than the personality of an individual entrepreneur. In the capitalist society, economic sector operates in coordination with political sector. Nevertheless, economy can be also shifted within in a situation when bureaucratic notions within the individual enterprises are permitted to take over. In this respect, Weber had personal dilemma. If it crystallizes, which is very likely, rent would replace profit. The economy will fall down and soon repressive political condition would emerge in the society. According to Weber, entrepreneur is the only person in economic sector who can force to keep the bureaucracy at its proper place as entrepreneur had and extensive knowledge and experiences of the business organization rather than bureaucrats. The above discussion raises a question: how to identify the routes by which entrepreneurial groups are guided into the business endeavors and capitalist development in society. According to Weber, whose center was Protestant Europe, the Calvinist notion of the advisability to justifying one's faith in cosmic endeavors, with no exception, strengthened the choice of business as a profession. Nevertheless, at this juncture, Weber also felt a major influence of aesthetic Protestantism was transformed, leisurely satisfying traditional capitalists who happened to acclimatize new beliefs into perpetuating our extending modern capitalist. Now let us wind up the session and take rest. Thank you very much for engaging yourself with a self-learning podcast.